Welcome, everyone. Um, I'm Amy Peacock, and I'm joined by my co host and longtime friend.
I'm Neil Parker. Glad to be here. Oh, we're using both our names this time.
Yeah,
It's
ex-
catching.
yeah, exactly. Um, so I am really looking forward to hanging out with you. And Neil, what are you looking forward to?
I've got so much to look forward to. I mean, yeah, I was just on a long chat with AI last night about lots of things that are on my mind. And one of the things that I said was, I'm hoping that the next 10 years are even better than the previous 10 years. Not that the previous 10 years weren't great, just that I'm optimistic.
Okay, what sort of tell me, what that one thing stood out to you. What was what part of questions that you actually prompt?
The whole conversation was about being recently diagnosed with ADHD and how that changes my perspective on my life. Uh, Now it's not a matter of saying, well, there's these mysterious things that go wrong in my life, and I don't know what it is. Maybe I've got some mental problem. Maybe I'm um, inattentive.
Are you
Maybe I'm
self-diagnosing
this
yourself?
is this is just the kind of thoughts that normally would go through your mind if you find
uh,
yourself making mistakes, right? Why
okay.
did I make that mistake? You're just analyzing the situation, and you really have no, um, what am I trying to say? No framework to approach the
Mm-hmm.
problem. You just notice that things happen from time to time, and you go, "That's really weird. Why are those things happening?" And it can be very depressing, very stressful, having things go wrong in your life and not understanding why, and then feeling like you have to figure it out on your own.
Ah, wow, that's a whole lot of conversation you were having with AI.
It was a great conversation,
Yeah.
actually. But of course, AI is programmed to be that way, very reassuring, you know, um, giving you some good information at the same time, if that information is available on the web.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think there is something to admit that sometimes AI can be a good thing, and I heard this from the previous years. This is what they're trying to do, is to address social isolation and loneliness, is to actually program AI so that it can adapt and have a like a human type conversation. But I don't know if AI can never replace humans the way
yeah,
that.
really chatting with AI is like having a conversation with yourself in a way. Um, I guess it's a little bit better than that because you're kind of having a conversation with the internet in a way.
Yeah.
Whatever's out there has been
Yeah.
absorbed into the AI and now is conversing with you in effect.
Yeah. I think we have to be putting a little bit of cautiousness, I think, because there is a sense that it is helpful, but I think if we become so attuned to it that we're now pushing aside or ignoring the kind of human conversation and human connectedness, I think
Mm.
that uh, we can go towards that direction. And there is a verse that says, "What you think is what you act, you become." I think that is something that we need to put a little bit of guardrail to, and how much we rely too much on
Yeah,
the technology.
I don't think anyone would deny that. But what I am saying is you're familiar with the expression, take it with a grain of salt, right? That's something that applies to anything in a human conversation and certainly anything in an AI conversation as well. In fact, in general, if you're talking to any entity, then that's always there. That, take it with a grain of salt. Means don't be gullible.
Yeah. And then just like any technology, we can use it for good and we can also abuse it. So, yeah. And you are, it's very interesting because you and I started the podcast together, and your life and my life, somehow it's so parallel. One, of course, we were at that stage, late comers now into the podcasting world, and we learned so much from that. Excuse me. We have been trying out two platform. The one that we are on right now, it's Riverside, and then we're also using the StreamYard. So, do you have any insights based on your experience so far?
Yeah, it has been very interesting to try out two podcasting platforms. I think I don't know how many podcasters who are just starting off on this road would be so ambitious as to test two platforms like we've been doing. In fact, I have two friends. I've introduced them to you online who are professional podcasters, and they explained their journey to me. But I think they started out very basic with something like Zoom. Everybody knows, or maybe it was Google Meet, something like that. Just software that is, reliable, but it's not really designed for podcasting, but it can be used for podcasting. Anything that you can use that will record your conversation, your video, your audio, you can post that onto a podcasting platform. And a lot of people are using YouTube, as we are, for that. So we started off and we thought, let's try Riverside, right? That was the first one we tested. And it seemed incredibly complicated.
Yeah.
There were a lot of little knobs and dials to twist. It's like we were sitting down as musicians, and it was like our first, what do you call them, recital.
Yeah.
And somebody put this big box of electronics in front of us and said, there's your wah wah pad, there's your, this and that, and we're going, what? We don't know any of that stuff.
Yeah. Well, I think for me, I think for us, the reason why we tried, as I was researching the best platform that would offer us, just so we can try and we can test, and to this day we are still testing it. And I, mind you, I am very comfortable. I think it's not so much the problem with the platform. I think it's us, or me, because my studio is actually a lot more complicated. You just turn on your iPad or your laptop, and then you have your camera and you have your microphone. Versus for me, it's there are a few more steps, at least I would say 6 steps, not just turning on the power, but I actually have to turn on many things. So it added more of that. I think for me, a little bit more of that complication and challenge. Perhaps it's not so
Oh,
much
yeah.
of, the problem with Riverside. I think it's us humans trying
Right.
to adapt and
Hey, this is
learn.
this is the point I was trying to make. It's like you give amateurs a professional setup, and then they're completely lost, right? I mean, even me with my bare bones setup, I encountered this thing where I didn't know about this, but my headphones have a built-in mute button, and if I that light goes on and then nobody can hear what I'm saying. And I had no idea why all of a sudden people couldn't hear me. And like you say, yeah, my setup is just basic, headphones, a laptop, and that's pretty much it. But your setup is, you've got, I don't know what, a
It's
microphone, an
very
amplifier.
professional. Yeah, it's a
Exactly.
very professional setup, and
Hmm.
it meant for that. I mean, I am blessed to have a husband who is very techy and very creative and very innovative. So for me, I'm inherited it. I didn't set it up. I would never know how to set up all this camera. I have the mic over here. I have my
Yeah.
old cell phone over here, and I have my H1N1 over there, and I have a lot. And then I have professional lights. I have over here, it's another light turned red, so that actually gives me that color that I want. So it is very set up professionally. But I think what I like about Riverside, of course, if you learn all the basics, is that it gives them in the end, if you're recording it, you can actually find your transcript. And so if you want to edit this transcript, you can actually remove the ones you don't like. If we have repetitions and very long pause, like the ones that we did have very long, unnecessary in the end, unuseful, but I don't know where to delete it because we were using another platform.
Mm.
So, right? And we are right now, Riverside has definitely, I it is clean and nicely. What I like also is that when you are recording, you don't have the big like Riverside logo or name right where you are people are seeing the images.
Well, this is what I was going to say too, but I feel like it's a very crude critique, as it were, because I think because that's the problem that's immediately noticeable with StreamYard is that you've got this big logo on your screen, but that probably only applies to the free trial version. So if we're deciding which one we want to pay for, then that probably isn't really a factor.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And even the Riverside, when you go to YouTube, you can see the Riverside.
Mm.
And I don't mind at all. So it comes down to pricing, because we're starting up the our work, and we can't really invest a lot of money to have our podcast,
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
unless of course someone step in and say, hey, I really like what you guys are doing, we're going to fund and we're going to sponsor your podcast for a full year using this, then you know we will take it, because it is providing value to the people. At least that is our goal, is we're bringing and adding values to the lives of the people who are listening and
Yeah.
participating in our community.
Oh, of course. And more than just taking the money, we're also happy to provide a mention for any sponsor or donor that wants it. You can be anonymous if you like, or we can say something nice about your organization.
Yeah. And so both you and I, almost the same time that we started our podcast, I got a part-time position, and and then and that is taking a lot of my extra time, of course, to dedicate the 3 days for work, because I am working part-time. And so far I have managing, and I'm also caring for my spouse as well. And you, Neil, what's excitement in your life?
Yeah, a lot of the same things for me, actually. I was laid off in September from a job that I'd been at for 17 years and took a bit of a break, developed some of my own ideas. Um, but then I thought, I really need to keep my uh, keep my mind in the game, and so uh, I'm about to start a part-time job. So yeah, there's a lot of parallels that looking after our spouses and both struggling, I guess, with ADHD or whatever you want to call it. I know you don't struggle, but or maybe you do.
Well, yeah, finish your sharing, and then I'll share about my
Yeah,
experience.
what's strange is that we have all of these things in our lives that are in parallel, as it were. Like you say,
Yeah.
the same things happening to us, and it's almost like a sign that we are kind of a good fit to be working together, even though we have very different approaches, very different ideas, very different cultural upbringings and contexts. Uh, so yeah, there's a lot of room for learning between ourselves.
Yeah, and that makes it very interesting and exciting at the same time, because can you imagine if, um, you know, we're all eating the same thing and dressing up the same style? How boring that can be. Um, but that each of us brings our perspective to enhance the quality of each of our personal lives, and at the same time sharing as well, as we try to build the kind of authentic community, and a community that is trusting,
Mhm.
and people feel safe and a sense of belonging. So right away, I am all over the walls, like I'm all over the top, and you're calming me down with your presence.
Well, yeah, there's an interesting dichotomy, I think. When I was listening to what I was thinking about was um, that we've both been to the City View Church, and one of the things that I remember Pastor Trevor there saying very clearly is that if our congregation is composed only of believers, then we are not a success as a church. The message needs to go out to people who do not believe. They need to be in sitting in front of me as I'm delivering this sermon for it to have the meaning that Jesus meant it to have. And I loved that message. I thought, wow, this guy is really serious about what he's trying to do. It's a very ecumenical approach in a way. And I was
Yeah.
not expecting to hear that from a Baptist preacher, to be honest.
Well, then you will really enjoy listening to the messages in the past few weeks, especially last Sunday.
Mm.
It's they City View Church in Vancouver are doing. I would think that it's incredible, incredible, you know, topics to cover. So, are you looking forward, going back to your first job? Are you looking forward to work today? It's training, right?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to my training day. Um, this is a challenging job for me in a lot of ways, but
How so?
I'm excited about the challenge. Well, it's I have been doing sales for the past 17 years, but
Hmm.
this is a very different type of sales. I think there's a lot of variety in the sales field. What I was doing before was global business development for a digital company. I love your mug. And what I'm doing now is for a also a global company, but I'm just dealing with the local marketplace. It's a very technical area, dentistry, so I have a lot of technical language and stuff to learn about processes, learn about how laboratory workflows work. And then I'm really looking forward to reaching out and connecting with the practitioners and getting to know them and
Yeah.
getting to know what their struggles are. Because that's I think the main thing about being in sales is you have an opportunity to solve all of these problems for so many different people.
Quick question for you. Because we're both also in our, I'd say, seniors years, because, it's, we're modern seniors to the T. Is there any advantage or disadvantage hiring mature individuals for your role, and say, for example, my role, as I am working right now coordinating 5 regions in BC,
Hmm.
and that's a lot for for a part-time position. Is there an advantage, disadvantage? Are our brain slowing down to tackle the tasks or pressures of working for somebody else?
Uh, yeah, really good question and very relevant for our audience. This is when I was when I received my layoff notice. I had some really interesting conversations with the some of the vice presidents of the company that I've been working with, one of our CEOs, and they're very reassuring on that point. They said, Neil, I don't think you need to worry about being able to get a job because employers are not just looking for people fresh out of college who are going to learn on the job and have very quick minds, but they don't really know anything. They're also looking for people who have a lot of background and experience and are able to jump in and immediately grasp a lot of what needs to be done. One of them said, when I hired this guy, who's now a VP in the company, he was a very experienced guy, and he landed on his feet and immediately was able to start talking about our product and you know presenting it intelligently to our customers and some of our top level customers too, not just the low level ones. So that was a huge advantage of hiring someone with that maturity and experience who could bring that and just jump right in and start at that level.
I agree with you. Actually, I agree with you. And I think jobs, employers need to appreciate this. They need to recognize, realize that we all have different skills and different quality of work that we bring. Um, my last job, actually, they fired me because I think someone was jealous, that had didn't like the fact that I am displaying leadership. And it's unfortunate because it is a Christian organization, large Christian organization. And I was very happy there. I felt God has called me there. And then all of the sudden, I was called in an empty room, and the manager said, Ami, you're unfortunately, we are going to let you go. I thought he was joking. Because there was no warning. They didn't say to me for I was there for in that position for 5 months, and there was no I mean, you're not doing your job well. As a matter of fact, the opposite. People, the clients, even my coworkers said, "Wow, you have already done all of this, and you're only here for in this position for 5 months." Because I'm bringing a lot of my experience and my knowledge, my understanding. I've been doing executive director's job, and I was bringing it to them. And one person, I think it's the one person that didn't like me. As a matter of fact, when I was doing my facilitation, one of the things, now this is the woman that never talked to me. And then whenever that I do that she didn't like, right away, she emailed me right away. She say, "I don't want you to do that. I don't want take that off." Whereas I followed up with this person for 2 months, never heard a thing. And one thing, so talking about management, like it was very hurtful actually when I was fired for the work that I was doing so well.
Hmm.
Maybe that is the lesson. When you're
Yeah.
doing so well, when you're doing above and beyond, someone will notice you. And unfortunately, that someone has the power. And so people say, should I give money to this organization? I say, well, two things you need to do. If you give money, ask them their culture. Ask them how they treat their employees. And if they treated me like that, and for sure they treated so many people because they fired people just like that without any reason, because they can. It is unfortunate. In the end, I was very, very hurt, and but now this job is again I'm bringing a lot, and only 2 months I'm in this position, and I'm already going like this. And people said, it will take 1 year to get used to, but I'm already on my way.
Hmm. Yeah, these things can be very complex for sure.
Yeah,
And you're right that if you're in a management position, it's very easy to feel some sense of insecurity in your job. Uh,
yeah,
I think a lot of people suffer from imposter syndrome, you know. And if anyone comes along who seems to be more competent than they are, then it really um, makes them feel that insecurity and
yeah,
feel at risk. You know, they've got a lot on the line.
yeah.
Hmm.
I think it is also, I don't know, for older people, there is that fear that they will be replaced by younger people, because we have we're dominating, for mature people are dominating in terms of the workforce. But young people, I get it that we need to also provide an opportunity for them. But if they don't want to work, then that is a problem. Mature people, as you know, we have a different kinds of work ethics.
There's so much that could be said about that.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, where are we? I think one of the things now that we are going to be approaching definitely is deciding which platform that we are going to be keeping. And again, going back to, we have sponsors that gave us a small amount of money to pay for our subscription.
Thank you very much to those sponsors.
Yes.
L'artiste Design, is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about L'artiste Design?
Um, well, she wanted to be private, and and she's just wanting to support the work that we do. And I wanted to give more information, and she preferred to be anonymous at this time.
But I mean, just in terms of what the company does. If the audience is interested in supporting our sponsors and they feel like they should get in touch with L'artiste Design to work with them or to order something from them or something, what type of work does the company do?
She designed clothing. She designed wedding dresses, and and clothing that you can wear in a daily basis. So those are the kind of things that she designed, and she's designing those clothes for other people, for a company that she is tied closely with. So maybe down the road we will, but for now, that is where she wanted us to give us, and we're very grateful. And we invite you, like, for example, tell us your experience, whether if you're working still in a company right now. Are you worried about your work, that you might be let go because you're older? Tell us.
Yeah, I think my worries about being let go probably started when I was in my 40s. And, it's like a roller coaster. Sometimes I feel very insecure. Sometimes I feel like I'm uh, indispensable.
Yeah.
But I don't think we're ever really indispensable unless we are the perhaps the owner of the company.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even then, somebody will try it.
I always think that even if they let you go, my encouragement to any of you who are still actually working right now, as I do, keep learning, keep developing your skills. Look at where we are. Technology it's advancing in every second. Train yourself to adapt to technology. Train yourself to align yourself with new formats, new things, and especially work. If you
Mm,
talk to your manager, normally they have budgets for self development or professional development. Take advantage of that and look at what's missing within your company or organization, and maybe you can advance and fill in that gap. And sometimes managers, owners, directors, they're so busy to analyze the gaps and opportunities. They all want to be safe, like AI is because AI is advancing. Small companies, they all want to be safe. So maybe you can think of, hey, maybe I can fill in. Maybe I can be that person to manage and to look at the gap and of technology so that they can be protected.
yes, that's a very important point you make. I mean, but there's another point another side to be considered too, which is build connections with your colleagues and coworkers, because these are people that you're going to be spending a lot of time with as you work together. You're going to have common goals. It's a sort of a unique team atmosphere that you have in which to connect. And if you're able to do that, you can not only build a team of colleagues, but you can build a team of friends that will be with you throughout your life. In fact, I remember very well, I had a colleague who joined the company, and he was very good at his work. He's still with the company, and he's still fantastic, doing a fantastic job. Um, and at one time, I referred to him as my colleague, and he said, "No, Neil, I'm your friend.
That's
Don't
nice.
call me colleague, call me friend." Right? And he
Yeah.
really is, and he really did want to be a friend, and he is a friend. And
Yeah.
he was the guy, the only guy who called me on my birthday a couple of weeks ago from the company, and I was really touched.
Wow.
There's human connections to be built, but you're right. There's a lot of skills to be learned as well.
Yeah. Yeah. We have friend. We both know someone who I think she is in her 80s now, and she is still working. She's so valuable to her employer that her employer does not want to let her go because the employer would be lost without her. She knows a
Mm.
lot about the company itself. I bet you she probably built that company for the owner.
Mm.
And so she's still there. I think this is something we need to really bring into a conversation, that there is a value in keeping employees who maybe pass their due date. I don't know what that means. I heard that, so hey, don't get mad at me by using that term. I just reuse it. But really, mature, especially for the modern seniors, they have so much to bring value to your company. To let them go means you're letting go the knowledge that they have built, accumulated for your company, for your organization.
Yeah,
Unless, of course,
we
they
need
want to
both.
retire early.
We need both. We need knowledge and we need energy, and we need new mindsets as well as established mindsets. People who already have deep connections uh, in the industry are valuable, and people who are just starting off are also valuable.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely something I realize even for myself, that I have, I have energy. I have plenty of energy. And my brain is not slowing down because I'm almost in my 60s. My brain is not slowing down, my body is not slowing down. And I am as creative and innovative as I can in my 30s or my 40s. I think more than so now because
I believe you, me.
hey, I think for me, as you know, I come to terms of who I am, even with my ADHD.
Mm.
So I don't struggle with it. I actually use it for my advantage. I I probably have more focus now because I know what I have. And so, because I know what I have, I then use it as a friend, a tool, rather than a barrier to
Mm.
whatever that I wanted to accomplish.
Yeah, it's a good point that neurodiversity is a double-edged sword. It means that you're different from other people. Sometimes difference can be a good thing. Uh, Sometimes it means you have abilities that other people don't have. IQ is a great example. For example, um, I'm always reading about people with high IQs and how they are uh, unable to communicate with the vast majority of people. So it's very lonely to be that way. It's a form of neurodiversity. Uh,
Yeah,
but we
yeah,
we would hardly say, well, that's they struggle with that. That's an affliction, you know. And even though a lot of them probably do, a lot of really high IQ people probably really do struggle with that gap, that communication gap.
yeah.
Um, and
It's a
it must,
blessing and a curse.
yeah, exactly. But the point is that with IQ, we more often think of it as a blessing. Think, oh man, if only I was smarter. Think of the things I could do, right? And you don't think, well, think of the things I would see that are not right or that are wrong with society if I was more
Yeah.
intelligent. You know, think of the things that would bother me that don't bother me now because I don't see them.
Yeah, exactly. Here's my encouragement. Because we can go into this rabbit hole comparing ourselves with another person. I come to term now, instead of looking at and say, "Oh, I wish I have this," or "I wish I am that." I wish I wanted to be taller. Um, Now that I'm a lot more mature, I'm actually said, "Thank God I'm this size," because my head would be, I'm always going to be like gushing the blood because I would literally open the cupboard and then forget to close it. And I'm in just in the right height that even if I stand very quickly, I'm not going to hit my head and injure myself. You see?
Yeah,
You see what I'm trying to say is that before I wish I'm this taller, and now that I am not that tall, and then now that I'm opening the door, forget to close it, and
yeah,
standing quickly and forgot that the door of the cupboard is still open, and I'm just this to not to have my head open all the time.
yes.
Anyway,
You know, that's a really good. Yeah. So that's a safety issue, and you're safer than a taller person would be in that situation. And I've often thought about this from the perspective of the space program, you know, and asked myself, why don't they hire a lot of astronauts who are smaller and don't need to, because it's very expensive and it takes a lot of fuel to lift any mass into orbit,
yeah,
whether it's the person themselves or the resources, the oxygen, the food, the water that they need to sustain themselves into orbit. If the astronauts are smaller, then the cost of launch goes down tremendously. But the space programs have always been built around an average size person. And so
correct,
much so that the spacesuits are actually built to that size.
correct, correct.
Does it make any sense? I don't know.
Yeah, but this is going back again to maybe instead of looking at what people have, maybe we can look at internally and say, you know what, I'm grateful for what I have. I'm
Mm,
breathing, I'm healthy, I have my community, or I am able to build my community. And I think for us as we get older, more so that we need community, more so that we need to build the kind of authenticity as well. Because if you're standing alone, you're going to be the target all the time. As soon as you find your group, you're standing with other people, no longer you're a target, because the more people knows about you, then you have these people to support you. And I think about the scams, and I think about this. Sometimes when you have people that you actually trust, you can say, hey, I received this unexpected email or invitation. Do you think that's safe? I heard so many people are doing that, and actually saves them, literally saves them. So we can talk more about this, but what is important to you, you as listeners? How do we build a community that invited you and bring you, and a community for you? What does that look like? You
Yeah,
know?
communities where we all support each other and where you feel supported.
Absolutely. What is important? What topics do you care about? Another thing too that I think it would be really important is, I would love to invite everyone, to as many as you, because here's my thinking. You know, as we get older, the stories that you tell in this studio stays there for a long time. And so even if we pass on, anyone who misses us can go to this channel and listen. And so we don't often consider it. But I heard this, that the cemetery, and Neil, I think it was you. Was it you who wrote that phrase? I don't know. That cemetery is the most rich property, because there were unwritten books, unwritten stories that have been buried in cemetery. And we invite you to come, tell your story. Who knows? Maybe that your story can be just what your family needed to remind themselves the love that you have for them. It would be awesome.
Well put.
Okay, Neil, what do we go? Where would we go from here?
Well, we're trying to decide which platform we should use, but maybe we should invite our listeners and guests to compare the difference. If you've listened to one or two episodes of Modern Seniors Podcast, and if you've formed an opinion about which platform you prefer, let us know.
There you go. It's an invitation. Well, thank you so much for spending time with us today. We are very grateful. If you have not done so, please subscribe. Leave us some comments and your feedback as well. As Neil said it before, we,
We love to hear from you.
yeah, and we read it. Thank you all so much, and be safe out there. Take calculated risks.